I'm not really here to introduce the panel, actually. I'm here to tell you for 5 seconds about a very important family, the Min family, and Nami Island, Inc., which is the sponsor of the Hans Christian Andersen Award. I'm the chair of this current jury of the Hans Christian Andersen Award, and for 10 years, the Nami Island Inc. has been the sponsor for the Andersen, and they have made a huge difference to the Andersen's profile because they have increased the funding for the Andersen. And this family and Nami Island in Korea is a place that every single person who cares about children's literature should visit because it is one of the most spectacular book islands, the most spectacular book island in the world. And the Min family and Mr. Kang, who is the president of Nami Island Inc., are biggest reading promoters you can imagine, and it is a very magical place. I would like to introduce you to Fred Min, who is one of the sons of the Min family, and to extend our great gratitude to them because they have, as I said, made a difference. And this year they have increased our funding. They are now giving us $50,000 a year for the Andersen Prize. And what I would really like and hope you're going to do is to promote this prize very widely because we have changed the process by which the Andersen is going to be done. This year the jury is meeting in January, which is about 3.5 months earlier than normal. And we are going to announce the shortlist in January. So we really hope that once the shortlist is announced, that we will build a kind of excitement for the shortlist and for the potential winner, when the winner is announced in Bologna, which will be in April, that there will be the kind of excitement that surrounds things like the Booker Prize and the other prizes which have shortlists which people really read, pay attention to, maybe publish in the United States, for example, in English, if they haven't previously been translated, promote them even if they aren't authors that are locally known, and really try and make this a worldwide prize that is the most important prize, and to give it the kind of profile it deserves. So we're counting on your help in doing that, and we will know in January. The Mins have already helped by giving us this very generous donation, so thank you again, Fred. Now I would like to introduce and announce Paul Zelinsky, who really requires no introduction. You know him. He's a very, very famous Caldecott-winning illustrator, and he will be chairing the panel.
Thank you very much. It's really, I'm very honored to be here, and I'm not a very experienced moderator. I want to say that, but I am really pleased to be moderating this panel with 3 fabulous, world-famous, wonderful illustrators. And come on up to the stage and please sit down. François Plas, and Roger Mello and Elizabeth Zwerger. Please sit down. Yes. And Roger. And we're going to be having a conversation, so please have a seat. I guess I can just briefly introduce these 3, although as you know, they've had IBI connections themselves, and in fact, you may know more than I do to introduce them. But Lisbeth has received pretty much every award there is. And she's illustrated pretty much every classic book that could be illustrated and beautifully. She's delicate and powerful work, The Grimm's Tales, Red Riding Hood, and so on. And she'll be introducing herself by means of some pictures. Everybody's going to give a little presentation, and then we're going to have a conversation. So Roger, I should say, and Elizabeth, of course, has won the Hans Christian Andersen Award. And so has Roger last year. So he went to design school. He's also a playwright and a screenwriter. He's been not that published in the United States yet. So that needs to be rectified, but he's won the Hans Christian Andersen Award. He's gotten endless prizes in other countries. In Brazil, it's the Jabuti Prize he has received from the Brazilian Book Chamber 9 times. Pretty good. And François has poor Francois has only been France's nominee for the Anderson Prize, but hasn't actually won it yet. So we'll just maybe this will put him over the edge. Anyway, he's also not been published enough in the United States. The Last Giants came out here, and he's known for the L'Atlas des Géographes d'Orbaï, beautiful 3-volume abecedary of discovery. And he's illustrated Michael Mark Burgo's books, including Warhorse. So those things should make him known. And we have a lot of pictures.
I'm supposed to introduce myself here, and I thought I have to definitely introduce my parents as well, because they are responsible for everything, of course, for myself being here, but for everything really. So I will show you what my parents did. This is what my mother did when she was about 16. A medieval lady. She did that during the war and sold these kinds of dolls. So I'm just illustrating the background. Both my parents were very interested in the arts, and my father was a painter. And this was, as it says here, in the 60s, a picture of the Danube. And he was an industrial designer and graphic designer. So they were very, well, I arrived, and you would think maybe I'm a miracle child, but as you will see, this is, but it is a fairy tale illustration, basically, which has changed a child into an apple. I'm quite surprised, really, that this is such a weak picture. At 5, I should have done better, I think. And soon after, in fact, 15 years after, I was very lucky to meet my future husband, and then ex-husband, unfortunately, John Rowe. He didn't quite look like that, but he was a great influence. I met him just at the right time. He was a very romantic painter, always walking around with a little book, sketching everywhere. And he, being an Englishman, he brought back books from the library, from the English library, which had an amazing effect on me, because until then I had gone to the art college or art university, and they didn't really encourage illustration. And now this was the revealing moment. And I saw Arthur Rackham and immediately fell in love with Arthur Rackham. I don't know, I should say what it is exactly, but I can't. No, but because I was so impressed, I've got another lot of Arthur Rackham, just so amazingly well drawn, which I hadn't really seen. Children's book illustration used to be flat and a little bit childish, and this just impressed me so much. And there's another one now of Edmund Dulac. This picture really, really excited me, and so a couple of years after I saw this, I did this, just to try out. It never was used for a book. Here's another artist that really impressed me and made me really happy, Jiří Trnka. He did animation, movies, and illustrations. So during the year after I met John Rowe and was introduced to all these wonderful pictures, I did lots and lots of little pictures that you can't see here, but that was the best quality I could get. And I went to England with John, and in the meantime, my mother sent those little pictures to my future publisher. And that was Friedrich Neugebauer. My mother had heard from a bookshop that there is this publisher who had invented, or he had constructed this publishing firm for his students. He was teaching calligraphy, and he had some talented students, and so there are these couple of little picture books you can see here. And he accepted my work, and that was just really lucky. That's now, these were little pictures you can see, 13 centimeters times nearly 12. Really small pictures I showed him. And he said, yes, they look really interesting, but you have to do them bigger. And I must say that he was really fantastic. He was totally uncommercial, and this is some really old-fashioned, absurd story, and he just accepted it, never thinking he would have to sell them, and he didn't care about it either. So it took me another year to make them bigger. Personally, I think they lost something. I prefer the smaller size, but this is what got published. That was my first book. And this was the last new book, which I did not do for Neugebauer, but for North-South Books, which, of course, over the years I have changed a little bit. And this is me at the 60th birthday, showing all my books, which is nearly 40 books.
Wow.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Just a couple more minutes or seconds. Just a few of my favorite books. And a few of my favorite illustrations. That's one from the very first book, second book in 78. You can see yourself what year these were done in. Thank you.
Very good, because I had asked everybody to give us 8 minutes or less, and this was under 7. So thank you so much. Minimalism is excellent, and if you could pass the computer on to Roger.
First, I would like to thank you all, to thank Alice that invited me 2 years ago to be here. And the last turn I have been to Fresno, and I could never forget this such wonderful experience to be in USBBY for this conference. And I always say that I mistake words and images. For me, they are the same thing. I would like to talk about it a little bit. Probably I'm not illustrating what I'm telling. I was born in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, during the military regime. It was a government of exclusion. And Brasilia was supposed to be an utopia. It was planned by many thinkers with a social
social consciousness.
Social consciousness. One of them was Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire took part, but not through Paulo Freire. Anísio Teixeira and Darcy Ribeiro, and also the thinkers that made their ideas come true through the pencil. They were Niemeyer, the famous architect from Brazil, Lúcio Costa, Atus Bulcão, and a very important garden designer called Burle Marx. These people planned the city to be a place where everyone would have access to everything, basically through arts and basically through education. And because of that, I learned very early that book, reading, were the best way to get through the other, through the maze of the pages, of the stories. And it was very odd because when the regime, when the military people took over the government, they took us apart from everything, from free thinking, education. People stopped to have philosophy in their course, their education, and it was very sad because many of those people were exiled, but their narratives, thinking, their thoughts were there in the urban space, in the wall paintings, and we started to know how to read through the silence, to read images. So it was a whole generation of image readers. Of course, we wanted so much to read the words as well, but images came first. So this is again why I cannot separate so clearly what is image and what is words. Those are illustrations from books that I did afterwards about different matters in Brazil. This is a book called Mangrove Kids, and the theme of childhood, labor in childhood was coming again and again. Because since we were excluded from the thoughts, we also learned that we were excluded from knowing the whole country, the stories from the country, because stories came from far away, always, usually from Europe. And we wanted so badly to take a look at these untold stories as well. They looked like fairy tales in a different way, but each fairy tale is also upside down reality. So it was easy to understand, for example, in the Mangrove Kids, that the landscape, the background, would be the main character. There was a boy, there were many boys catching crabs for a living, but I didn't want to be judgmental about this. I did want to know the character, the people that were there. It was the same with the young charcoal burners, because still in Brazil, pig iron is one of the commodities that sell best. But in this chain, there is everything that is unbearable. Destruction of nature, because they bring up the savanna, Brazilian savanna and Brazilian forest down to make charcoal, and usually to do the ovens, you have in a part of the stage one child working to finish the oven, because their hands are better, are smaller. But I did not want to tell again the story from the side of a social problem. I wanted to know who was this boy, what was he afraid of. And in this story, there is a hornet that tells the story. So he's not even human. I like characters that are not human, because they sometimes have to have this path, this way to become human through the words. And see, he sees the world from upside down, And he also does an oven made of clay, not an oven, but a clay house, which is upside down. And so he's trying to understand not a social problem, but what humanity is there in this person that likes to catch the fire with his hand. So the book itself was the mock-up of the book was, and it's very close to the book as it is published. I see also design as not a narrative source, but as a character. I really think of design as a character. So sometime in this book, the other boy catches a cigarette, and he doesn't understand that cigarette. He wants to take the cigarette from him, and it's so dry in the middle of the country that the cigarette falls down and everything catches fire. The book catches fire in the middle, but I don't talk about it. It comes with the flames, and the flames are the pages. Okay. Yes? Yes, the time. So time runs. And so this is more illustrations about the book. This is a book about Amazon, and this is a Wakari monkey. I love monkeys because I think again, they are not human, so they are sometimes more human than us, because it's a path until he becomes. So I basically brought some images, and they are from different books, gardens. Yes. Now this is a book of illustration for Peace Story that was published. It was an idea of EB members and Fred too, and it was published in Nami Island, Nami Books. Yes, Peace Story. 88 people from all over the world, and the first time I was invited there, and also by Patsy, Liz, and Alice. So, yes, we can move on. Thank you so much.
Hi everybody, I'm very honored to be there among Paul, Elizabeth and Roger. I'm a little bit moved and my English is just okay. So I will start from the beginning. When I was a young child, a boy, I used to do a lot of battles. I play soldiers on my paper. So these are some pictures from my youth. This is the D-Day. And also I was interested in geography, history. I went a lot in the library. So this is a kind of village from Africa, but in fact the mottos on the cases, on the houses are from Indian pictures. These are my favorite heroes when I was a young boy on this boat. I did this drawing not a long time ago. And I started with non-fiction books. Like this one, Le Livre des Navigateurs. It's about the discovery of the world. I was very interested in this when I was younger, and still now I'm very interested in. So these non-fiction books were a lot of work, both for writing and finding documentation and realizing the pictures. The pictures are the size of the book, and you can see Caravanserai. This is Brazil.
No, okay.
And this is Italian cities. And my first very fiction book is The Last Giants. It got some success in France, and it's a story about giants, but in fact it's a story about colonization. So there is the structure of the book is very simple. You have the text on the left page and the picture on the right one, and I followed only my pictures. I did a sketch with all the pictures, and I followed my pictures to write the story. So this is a story of someone, a scientist who goes in a very country very away from here, from England, and he discovers the giants, and he reveals the secret of their existence. So it produces the opposite he wanted to get. It causes the destruction of these people. So it's a very sad book for children, but the publisher was okay and decided it could be good for them, and in fact they love it. Eventually the small children like it very much. And after that I was pursuing my dream of telling stories about foreign countries, and I invented a kind of atlas based on alphabet. So the A's, B, C, D are maps, and every map leads to a story. These are the 3 books. And you can see, for instance, the map of Esmeralda. I invented a story where the Spanish people couldn't, in fact, invade the Indian country. So the Indians sent ambassadors to the Spanish soldiers. And at the end of every story, there is a non-fiction plate with different stuff like clothes, animals, you know. So I can show you some more. This is from the country of Xingli. These are tales. I invented tales for each country. And you can see the non-fiction plate at the end of the story.
How is it non-fiction?
It's both. I invent the people, I invent the animals, but it looks like something real.
That kind of non-fiction. That's my kind of non-fiction.
Sorry. I don't care about borders.
Okay, that's okay. Just thought I'd ask.
So another. How about time? I have a little bit more. So I show you some pictures from this atlas. It's a big work for six years for the 3 books, and I did a lot of documentation on history, geography. I like that very much, going in the pictures of the old times. These are the sketches to prepare the book. And also, I did a book with a very special one with 2 novels. I wrote the 2 novels, and there are stories, and they are in a box with the plate. The pictures are apart from the novels, so you can read and you can look at the pictures. It's like stereo thing. So these are the sketches for preparing the plates. They are on computer, drawing, and after that, computer for the colors, only for sketches. And this is how I sold the project to the publisher. And he said to me, a little bit crazy, but why not? Just try. Just try. So I also do some albums with
Picture books.
Picture books with genuine. Thank you so much,
I'm here
Paul.
for that.
You're a big support. And I like to change my style. I like to change. I am a little bit versatile. You say that, versatile. Mm-hmm. Different kind of drawings, as most of us, I guess. So Grand Tours is about a prehistory thing. It's a tale. And this is, I found out a US print, which is very rare. It's an old man with drawings. And it's, in fact, this is a story of Okusai with a little boy. I enjoyed a lot to tell this meeting between a young boy and a very, very old Japanese painter. How about time? Okay.
You're fine.
This is one of the last albums I did. It's about building a big statue of a Buddha. So, you know, when the Taliban destroyed the Buddhas, I was very affected, very moved by this, but I didn't want to tell a story about destruction. I preferred to try to tell a story about how is it difficult to make this big picture of someone who is very welcoming, who has a smile. So the name of the story is The Smile of the Mountain. I don't have time to tell the story now, but you can imagine it's about how to do this. And I also illustrated some novels, some from Michael Morpurgo. I guess you know War Horse. And also a novel from Timothée de Fontbelle, Toby Loneliness. In English, it's Toby Alone. It's a very, very good story for children who are easy to read. Sorry for English, sorry. It's awful. And this is the different the process to make the cover for a novel I wrote, La Douane Volante. It's a fantastic novel, so you can see the different steps. Okay, I'm just at the end. Well, something just, I did this cover from one of my novel, and the Korean did this one, and I prefer the Korean one. It's with my drawings, but I think it's more convenient for the book. So sometimes you're not always the good one to know what is exactly good for what you do. I don't know if you agree, but we need publishers. That's it.
Okay, good. Thank you. It's great to see those pictures and wonderful to hear the things that you're saying. And now we have 20 minutes because you know, as my career as moderator, what I'm really aware of is a deadline, which is not my specialty as an illustrator, I must admit. How about you? What do you think about deadlines?
They are ugly.
They are ugly. But Elizabeth, you talked about your art education a little bit. Everyone here went to an art school and studied art, and that's not true of all illustrators. But I think that you had a little bit of the experience that I had in art school, which was illustration is one thing, and art is another. Or I should say, art is one thing, and illustration is another. Was that so? We come from different continents and different countries, and I just wondered whether what that phenomenon is like in other places. Do you want to talk about it? And also, what do you think about that? I mean, is it just total? I don't want to say a bad word. Garbage?
It's not.
Or is there
It's
something
not.
to it?
Yeah.
Because
No, exactly the same thing happened, even though I went to a University of Applied Arts. So you imagine there is a reason not to look down on illustration. But I always illustrated, and I was always not by the other students. The other students enjoyed what I did, but the teachers, obviously, they couldn't bear it. I don't know why. And I think there's only good or bad. Illustration was the first form of art, I would say. I've got 3 samples of wonderful illustrations. I don't know if I can show them already. Yes, here you can.
I thought it was Michelangelo, and you did that.
yeah.
Yes.
You were pretty good.
Yes, it's a little bit. The scale is a little bit. I think that's the biggest difference between art and not art. Is the size. I personally like the small size, and this, of course, is a little bit bigger. And the next examples, this is Paolo Uccello. The princess gets rescued by Saint George.
Clearly
And-
not an illustration in any way.
Very modern,
Right. Yeah.
isn't it?
No, it's
yeah,
true.
it's fantastic. And here's a little bit of Goya,
Oh, yes, which is smaller.
which is even smaller, yes, and yet it's art, it's accepted. Maybe the text, no, but the text, the very first picture we saw, the Bible was the text, and it was a common thing to accept illustration. Of course, it had to be good.
Yeah, and so illustration wasn't invented as a separate discipline until
Yes.
what, the 19th
Of
century.
course,
Something
we are
it
doing
was an
children's
idea that
book.
art became something different and
Yeah.
pure, not connected to a story.
Yeah.
That's a modern art idea, right?
Yeah, illustration itself is not bad as long as it's not children's book illustration.
Roger, did you have any like art illustration conflict in your education or in your? Friends?
In Brazil, it doesn't begin very early. I had a wonderful. I was in a wonderful library school of art library. Everything should come from the books, and we even did theater as well because I do plays as well. And when I was a grown up, I did the university in design. I did design, which is really worse because they say, okay, if you are going to do that as an illustration, this is so bad.
So even designers
Try
look
not
down on
to
illustration?
illustrate. Avoid illustration. I heard that all the time. But maybe I like things that I of course, we should not do that with illustration because everything comes from illustration, isn't it? But I like that things that don't stay up in the how do I say it?
Stratosphere in the sky.
Yes.
That don't
so
stay.
I prefer sometimes that to be there in the ground because I can do whatever I want with this, not to work with beauty, but with strangeness.
What if you get some beauty in there by accident? I think you might have backed into it.
Beauty by accident is sublime, but trying to do beauty is ugly, I think, because it's much better when you go to the guts of the thing. So I don't mind that people do say this about illustration. For me, it's not. For me, it's everything. And I love arts, contemporary arts. I love it. But sometimes people are like this, and they cannot see the guts. This is the problem, I think.
Yeah. Well said. François.
It's to me now.
No, you don't have to comment.
I went also in an applied art school, more for typography and publishing and advertising. So I wanted to find a place to learn illustration, and the teachers told me, you are here to learn advertising. There was a little gap between what I was expecting and what they offered to me. But I don't ask myself the question of art, or is it art or not. I'm more concerned about what we put in the pictures. I'm interested in looking at pictures from the ancient times, for instance. If you consider that art was during long periods a way to meditation, just to look at the world and to translate it on paper or walls or things. And we are also concerned with taking life just by drawing. They are very different. If you are meditating, so we like the pictures, you take time to make the pictures because it's a kind of meditation. You are deeply inside yourself. And also we like the pictures that pop up towards yourself, and they are just, you know what I mean? They are jumping at you. And these pictures are different. They are seizing the spirit of life on another way. I don't know if I am very clear, but I am interested in both. So I just want to know when I am inside the picture I'm doing. That's all about it. If I am really deeply inside, it's okay. If I am a little bit outside, it happens because it's also work. It's not only about guts. It's also about work. So sometimes you are just in the good way, and sometimes you are a little bit aside, but it still works. It's still okay. You know what I mean? So we have pictures we love from ourselves or from other people. I like also the art of contemporary art. I'm very fond of it, but everything is good for me to look at. Sorry.
But everything can't be, not everything can be good for everybody to look at, and there always need to be people who are choosing what's good and what's bad, because not every book will get into a library, not every book will get checked out of a library, not everybody likes everything. So there are people, there have to be guidelines, and maybe not other people, maybe
Sure,
not
sure,
us who
guidelines.
choose. So when you're you say when you know that you're in it, that there's really kind of no better feeling, right, than to know that you're in it and something's coming out of you that's not in your control totally. But do you think then you're making, then in a certain way, that is what art is, right? You're making art, and there will be some kind of communication probably with people who see it. But we do things that are for a special kind of people, not for everybody, but for children.
Sure.
And so I wanted to also talk about that. How do you think, I mean, I was just say that in my sort of training and bringing up was there was an ideal thought that I don't work for children. I don't do anything for children, but I feel like a child. There's a child in me. That's who I work for. That's who I aim to please. But I don't care about real children. And that's, and that kind of works. It doesn't maybe work for librarians to not care about little children. But what do you think
it
about
works
that?
for me as well. I don't really think of the children all that much. I feel there are so many different illustrators. Some have to think of the children, some draw specifically for children. I just want it to be good. I want it to make me happy, of course. And I do want to make people happy. Particularly, I don't want to make them unhappy, because there was one young woman told me that she was traumatized by a picture that I did, that I didn't find all that terrible. So I do question myself, would this shock anybody? Because I'm sure I could do worse or scarier things. I don't know if this picture would scare anyone. This Goya, but both the Goyas might scare somebody. Yes.
No, is that bad though? I mean, how bad?
I don't know.
is that?
I don't think. I don't want to traumatize anybody. I too have pictures from the past when I was a child. There was some sort of giant who, just for fun and just to shock people, ripped off his leg, and including the big boot, and there was sort of bits of meat hanging out. And of course, I thought it was shocking. I don't really want to shock anybody, but...
How about Roger, do you want to shock people?
But that woman traumatized you. You didn't have this.
Yeah.
She cannot do that.
Yeah, and
Yes,
you write about really tough subjects, right?
Yes, but yes, when people say, I think about the children or the child specifically, I think it's a lie, really a lie. Because what is this? Is there such a thing as common sense for children? It's individuals. Wake up, yes, isn't individuals. So of course, I do the way to bring to the child is to make for myself, selfishly, really, and then bring. Do you want to share? I want to share this with you. But I think there is no such a thing, because it's when you think on the markets, when you think on which age you are making for how do I say, to extraterrestrial people. So I do for myself, and I share. I want to share. And of course, I don't like also to traumatize, but sometimes we do. What can we do? Sometimes we do. But I think when you try really to scare, I think you cannot avoid, if the character, Marina Colasanti is a wonderful writer from Brazil. She's now one of the candidates, the nominees. And once I saw her, and there was a lady, a grandmother came and said, Marina Colasanti, I love your stories. They're beautiful. And I tell them to my granddaughter, but when there is this horrible witch, I try to make it softer. And she said, you cannot make the character weak. You don't have the right to make the character weak. And she went on the back. But it's true. It's true. Yes.
That's
for me,
very
it's true.
Good. It's individual. So, and then we do sometimes, so when there are children that we want to connect with, the other way is we connect directly with them, right? So sometimes you go to schools and things, and do you want to try this little very quick surprise that we had?
Yeah.
Ready?
Sometimes I meet children in schools, but we often do this in France. So I like it very much to go in classroom and meeting children and speaking to them and talking to them, making them draw.
You get to terrorize them directly.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't thought about that, but it's an idea. Yeah, I could.
Another example? You wanna
Some
try
examples are.
No, I was thinking that the actual easel. How about if we
On the easel, okay.
On the easel.
Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous. He wants me to draw in front of you, so okay, why not?
You want to try?
I try.
I think
You have to be, comment on dit ça?
en français, what?
Indulgent.
That's
Okay.
a perfect word. We'll just set up.
Indulgent.
Yeah, Francois says that at the end of a school visit, this is what he does as a gift to the participants, so that they can see what it's like to see a drawing get made. And we can
Sing the song.
we can sing a song. No, I think we can talk about our own experiences, because do you also visit schools and talk to children?
I do.
Why don't we come up a little closer here, so that if we're talking, we can be seen. Yeah, just like that. So what are school visits like in Brazil?
Very diverse. It's a very big country, so depending on where you are, it's completely different.
It's a big country?
It's big. It's big.
Okay.
It's big. It's when you are in, for example, if you take if you take an airplane from Amazon region to Rio, it's going to be the whole day traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So many people don't even know Amazon if they live in Rio, or they don't know the South. It's really diverse. It depends on which, of course, school you are as well. But I always take advices from the children. They say wonderful things like, I don't like this illustration. Mm-hmm. And I like when they say this. Mm-hmm. And they say, I like that one better. And we draw together. Yes, I think we should not skip this. It's wonderful to be in touch with them.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, you don't.
No.
No, Elizabeth.
No.
Doesn't go.
When I asked about drawing publicly, and Elizabeth was, some people can't do it at all, and very understandably, and some people just like the attention and do it as much as they can, like me. So, but I'm not going to. But if we have a second, maybe you could take some things then, and then.
Yeah,
Elizabeth
he wanted
will
to
watch.
talk me into joining him and work on a
We are
picture
going
together.
to be
but
together.
Oh, you're going to do something together?
No, unfortunately, I'm really scared of drawing in public. It would. I would faint.
But if
probably.
we
No,
are
you're not
together,
gonna, you're not going to do that. No,
couldn't possibly.
No,
Yes.
you wouldn't
No,
do
you
that.
found
I'm scared
something.
of drawing
Yes.
privately too. So
I wasn't, but I'm becoming.
okay. Well, then we'll have achieved something.
You
here.
say it's so scary that I'm scared now.
Yeah. Well, this is all about traumatizing.
Francois is not.
Oh, so this is a is that an American Indian? Is that with a feathered headdress galloping through the streets of downtown New York?
Amazing.
I think. Pretty cool.
Oh, sorry.
Terribly sorry.
Me too. Let me see.
I'm just getting tones and everything with the brush. This is
And he doesn't speak while he draws.
no. It's good. I have to give big credit to all three of you for conducting this whole panel in English, which is not your native language, and who would know? That's it. Excellent. Fantastic. So we were just basically out of time.
Out of time.
We have like 2 minutes left in the.
No, that's okay. We don't need to draw. We can
We don't need
talk.
to draw. Roger's going to do something ugly from the gut. No pressure. No, really, the thing is, it's fun to draw.
It's fun.
And that's what you're there to share.
Okay.
My problem is simply I'm so hypercritical of myself. It's impossible to make a mistake in public. I make so many mistakes at home. And, yeah.
Here, come with me. Let's see if we can do the other thing that. I'm going to surprise Elizabeth by seeing if she'll just do a drawing on the computer. Which is how she usually works, right? You can tell by looking at your books that it's all computer all the time. So I think. So we're just about done.
So I think I made something
Here?
inspired on Francois. Yes?
Sorry?
Kind of inspired by Francois. Since we
Absolutely.
made a city.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So,
Just do this. This is
this is a Photoshop.
pure intuition now.
Yeah, so,
Oops.
okay. There, see. A little bit of. This is how she does her things. And you're going to see, now we. Sorry, we sort of stepped on Roger's time, but the 5 minutes are just about up, and there's something in among those. This is really cool. Something is rising up among those peaks of mountains in the water. I think it's a worm. I thought it was going to be a zebra for a minute. But.
So I'm going to, get rid to be maybe something more. The spines are going to feed it to be a worm.
Yeah. Oh,
Isn't
it's
it?
not a worm because it has spines. But that's pretty cool in what, 2 minutes?
Yes.
So,
It was inspired by Francois Place.
okay. So you can do kind of one book every 45 minutes, and then your career is made. Okay.
You
Once
have to make a good one.
Oh, that's different. Well, okay, I think that now our time really is up, and I want to thank everyone tremendously. This has been a huge pleasure for me to meet these illustrators and to help them meet you.
Thanks for having us. It was wonderful to be here. Thanks for your
Oh,
great.
my pleasure. It's almost done. There, are we done? You sign it. And then everybody can clap for me.